We're going to be talking about Ducati's controversial wing elements mounted to their Swingarm on their MotoGP racing bike, the GP19. That's the GP19 passing, can you hear it? So, we're going to do a piece on Ducati's controversial wing elements that are mounted to their Swingarm on their MotoGP racing bike, the GP19. As we can see here, there's three elements. It looks as if it's been designed by a road racing car designer to produce downforce. Yeah. Here we can see there's three elements split, and the gaps between the elements are to flow air. So the lowest element, the most shallow one, could feed the central element, and the central element could feed the steepest element, and this is to prevent the wing stall or the aerodynamic package to stall. It's designed to prevent that. And Ducati claims that they did this to cool the rear tire, but they could easily cool the rear tire with scoops, or mounting Naka ducts at the side here, just to push it to the tire and to the top of the wheel, or other areas they could cool the tire, because it doesn't quite make sense for them to cool the tire, to say this, because if this is to cool the tires, and the tires at this point immediately reaches the ground, and they would not have any time to cool the tire. Here we can see the whole design of the swing arm and these wing elements. Here we have it without the tire. These are the wing elements, three of them. So here we can see the bike braking into a corner. So if the bike breaks into a corner, the swing arm will droop, and it will really expose the wing elements. And you've also got these spats here to improve flow towards these rear wing elements. So obviously it's right now it's actually producing downforce, and during acceleration you can see that the wing elements are slightly tucked inside and not sticking out to scoop more air. Here we can see a clearer view as they're chasing Valentino Rossi. Here again you can see braking into a corner, it really sticks out, the wing element, but during mid-corner, downforce would actually push the bike to slide. Yeah, it will go against the centripetal force. So they cleverly designed it this way so that during cornering it sort of tuck in, so it wouldn't produce too much downforce during mid corner. Here is a clearer view. So effectively we can say that this wing element and the spats that complements the wing element and the airflow is designed around high-speed braking and high-speed braking and entering into a corner, so that the rear swing arm will have some downforce on it. It will droop, and it will keep the rear wheel on the ground, maintaining lateral grip, so that the bike won't be swinging. Maintaining lateral grip, so that under heavy braking, the bike won't be swinging side by side and becoming unstable. Obviously, here is the older bike, and as you can see here, there is no aerodynamic scoop here at the rear, but Ducati is known to pioneer the frontal area downforce, yeah? And the reason for that is, as you can see here, the front wing elements here to push the front downforce. here the philosophy of Ducati racing and their use of downforce, aerodynamic downforce. And on this particular bike, before they used the rear wing element, they had the front wing elements. Yeah. According to Mick Doohan, he once said that he only used 3% of full throttle in one whole track. Yeah, in some tracks. So the riders are always modulating power because there's just too much power in this particular bike. It's probably about 300 horsepower. So the front will always want to go up. So what Ducati did was they used these aerodynamic elements to push the front down. So the philosophy is to control the center of gravity of the bike and the lack of wheelbase. Yeah. So applying this philosophy on the rear wing element, then you can see Ducati's intended target. Here we can see under braking. Now with front element, the negative element of having front wings is during braking, because so the negative element of having front downforce obviously is during heavy braking. Yeah, it will go against the center of gravity and the length of the bike, the wheelbase, and will push the front down. This particular picture does not actually depict that. Probably the rider has braked too hard and too late. Now focusing on the front downforce here, how much benefit would there be if they had a rear wing at the back? Yeah. So what's very interesting is that having this rear wing, yeah, would sort of neutralize the negativity of the front wing. As the motorcycle brakes, the rear suspension will droop and it will take in air and also provide downforce for the rear for stability. Now here you can see Ducati doing a research on rear wheel droop, yeah, and obviously you can see it's directly mounted to the brakes, the linkage, meaning to say that probably they've been doing some kind of testing and research on rear wheel braking and droop to provide stability during braking and entering corner. And this is the spats that redirects air towards the rear wheels. Yeah. What's the irony about these spats is these what looks like to be electric cables or wires, probably sensors for something. As you can see here, these are the spats, and how it sort of, you can see here, it goes all the way down here, and how it wants to influence air pointing towards the rear wing element. And here we can see how effective the braking of the Ducati bike is, because Marc Marquez is famous for, he's probably one of the best late breakers out there in braking and brake entering a corner. So let's see what happens when he goes against Dovizioso.
Sorry, yeah. The veteran. Hang on a minute. Yeah.
Look at that. Look at the gap after the braking. Look at that gap after the braking point.
Pin time. It's round one. We have 3.3 miles left. Right out to the dirt goes Marquez. Up the inside comes Dovizioso.
Look at his braking, yeah? Look at the gap.
They turned it up just when he counted. Can he pull it down to the apex?
And he gets to stick the bike on the apex of the corner. So you can see here that Ducati has front wing elements for acceleration, and probably now they have got a rear wing element for braking. Here we see. So it's now balanced. With just the front wing element, it will be very detrimental to the stability of the center of pressure movements under heavy braking. Now they've got a rear wing element to balance it. Yeah. Also, the biggest plus side of this rear wing element is again to cool the tires.